God can use the least of the least to bring him more glory. Matthew was a tax collector. Peter was a whole fisherman. Abraham was literally a drunk. David was depressed. Like, they all had problems. They were not perfect. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Before we get into today's topic, make sure you comment, like, and share this video with your friends, your mama, your dad, your uncle, your auntie, whoever. Share it with all of them. But when you subscribe, hit the notification bell so you know the next time that I post and you can be on top of it, okay? So you don't miss each time that I post. But something that I really wanted to talk about is you need to stop thinking that, oh, God can't use me. Oh, I just got into the faith. God doesn't want to use me. I think God wants me to be a little bit more seasoned before he can use me. Like, stop all that. You think God got to look at the criteria, like, okay, you got to have this bachelor's, this master's, maybe a doctorate. Oh, make sure you got to have this much amount of money, this much amount of a following, and then I can use you. You think that's how God operates? God does not operate in that way. God can use the least of the least to bring him more glory. Let's bring it back to Bible. The disciples. You think they were the most perfect? They had all the grand scheme of things. They were the great people. They were priests or these big, big people. And God was like, yeah, I want to use you because you are a big person. A lot of people respect you. No, absolutely not. Matthew was a tax collector. Peter was a whole fisherman. Who else? Who else was there? I'm sorry, I'm like blanking out. But majority, like the disciples, they were not the greatest of the great people. Abraham was literally a drunk. David was depressed. Like, they all had problems. They were not perfect. Some of them had mental health issues, all sorts of issues that they had. Don't mind that. Where I live, something's always going on, so ignore that. But God is not looking down your criteria and be like, oh, you don't have this, so I'm not going to use you. God can use anybody. God can literally use a prostitute. God can use someone who used to be in gangbanging. Like, God can literally use anyone. So we have to stop putting this limit on God, or putting God in this box thinking that he can't use that person. Like, what's that? That Bible verse where it says, like, whoever was considered, like, the greatest would be considered the least in the kingdom of heaven, but whoever was the least in the world would be, like, first in the kingdom of heaven. So God really doesn't care about status. He don't care how much money you got in the bank. He don't care how many followers you got on social media. He don't care who got the biggest church congregation, who can build up the most members. He does not care about none of that. All he cares about is, are you willing? Do you have a heart of flesh? Do you love me? And are you willing for me to use you? Like, I believe in Revelation, is it 3:20? I hope that's the right one. But he's like, he knocks at the door every day. Like, Jesus is literally knocking at the door of our hearts every day. And it's up to us whether we let him in or not. So God doesn't care who you are, where you come from. He's literally knocking at the door of your heart every day. It's up to you if you're going to let him into your heart to clean up whatever wickedness, whatever sin that you have in your heart, in your life, to clean it all up. That's the thing. I don't know why a lot of us feel like we have to clean up ourselves before the Lord, or we have to clean up ourselves, make sure we have ourselves together before we go back to church, or before we go back into the presence of God. God does not care. If anything, he wants you to come to him looking busted, rusted, and disgusting. Why? Because it's ultimately a testimony of the goodness and the greatness of God, to show that you can come to him as you are, busted, rusted, disgusting, but you're not going to come out the same way. You're going to come out without blemish, without spot, without wrinkle, looking like a brand new person. So God doesn't care how you look. God doesn't need you to be all prepped and all ready. God does not care. You could just pull up in the, what those, put like the little potato sacks. You could dress up in a whole potato sack. God don't care. He's like, thank you for coming. Thank you for showing up, period. Like, just thank you for showing up, because I know this is not going to be your ending point. This is just going to be a part of your testimony. This is just the beginning of how I'm going to transform you, and I'm going to use you for my glory, to bring people closer to me through you. So it doesn't matter to me how you look. It doesn't matter to me how you talk. It doesn't matter to me how you walk. It doesn't matter to me how you do things, really. Just let me in. Let me in, please. That's literally what God is saying to you today. Just let me in. Let me in, and I will do the rest. You don't gotta do the most. You don't gotta have to try to fix up everything. Like, just let me in, and I will do the rest. For instance, y'all know Tiffany Montgomery. I love that woman down, okay? Like, if you guys ever watched a testimony video, or if you guys ever, like, heard her speak about her story, how she came to Christ, and how God literally just, like, pulled her out. Like, before that, she talked about how she was on a plane, and a woman of God literally went up to her, because she wrote a book at the time, and the woman of God came up to her and said, God is going to use you, but do not change the way you speak. Don't change your speech. Basically, do not change the way you speak when God uses you. And then now, if you look at her now, like, she's not the typical pastor, preacher, who's very, like, she basically tells it like it is. She doesn't sugarcoat nothing for nobody. Like, she is very straightforward and blunt with what God has put on her heart. She doesn't soften it for nobody, because she about that. Like, she wants people to know the truth. Like, this is exactly, I say what I mean, and I mean what I say. That's literally who Tiffany Montgomery is. And I'm just so glad that she was obedient to what that lady spoke over her through God, to not change the way that she spoke. Because if you look at it, especially people in my generation, like, we appreciate that a lot, because we feel like a lot of, pastors and preachers and apostles, like a lot of fivefold ministers, they sugarcoat a lot, It's like they don't want to tell it like it is, in fear of, losing church members, or losing followers, or losing just, like, influence. And it's like, God, for what? Like, it's not about you. It was never about you. It's only about King Jesus and spreading his word and getting as many people to heaven as possible. And we're not trying to have no blood on our hands, sugarcoating the gospel or sugarcoating the things of God. I don't want no blood on my hands. And I know as heck, Tiffany Montgomery, she don't want no blood on her hands. That's why she tell it like it is. And it's so funny. Like, I don't know. I find, like, I don't know why so many people are offended by it. They're offended by the truth. They're offended because they know the deliverance that her word brings, or her speech brings, or what the Lord gives to her. They're offended by it. And that's basically a heart check they need to get done. But me personally, I appreciate, like, how she speaks, how she gives out the word without sugarcoating nothing. I appreciate that so much. And I feel like a lot of fivefold ministers need to do the same thing, because it's about time you stop sugarcoating. And you can see, like, she was a fighter. Even before she gave her life to Christ, the girl was a fighter, okay? She was fighting all the time. You looked at her wrong, she was hitting you. Like, God used her, a street fighter, someone who wanted nothing to do with God. And now look at her, radical for the things of God, traveling all over the world as a prophetess, being a mouthpiece for the Lord. So that just shows, like, God can use anybody. Doesn't matter where you came from, doesn't matter your background. He can literally use anyone. So stop thinking that God can't use you because, you did this in the past, you did that in the past, you messed around with these substances, you messed around with X, Y, and Z, you messed around with ABC 1, 2, 3, like, you were involved in this. Like, God doesn't care, because that's not who you are. That's the thing. God doesn't define you by those things. So why do we define ourselves by those things? That's the past. That's behind us. That's not who we are. Yeah, that may have been things that we have indulged in and did, but that is not who we are overall. Most importantly, we are daughters and sons of the Most High God. That's who we are. Truly, that is who we are. So we need to walk in that, and we need to have faith and believe that our Father in heaven has an assignment for us and can use us for his glory. It don't matter what it is, whether that's in teaching, writing, dancing, like hosting groups, whatever it is, God can use you for anything, in anything. So don't think God can't use you, because he can. But yeah, that's basically all that I have for you guys today. I hope this video blessed you. I hope this video encouraged you. And I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.